Hi, everybody. Welcome back to day 31 with the Michigan Medium Angels. I'm Laura Ashley Abraham.
Day 31. Holy cannolis. I'm Connie Smuck.
And pretty soon, you're going to be able to see that Connie Smuck is actually Connie Smuck. We figured out, we know what we need to do to change that. We have two Laura Ashley Abrahams. I know.
I told you guys, she is such a ham. Totally.
It's really, I know, when I try to be funny, it's really not funny. Okay, so just case in point, our last video with the turkey hat. I know, not so funny. Connie, you should see her face.
Yeah, it was.
Like, what?
I'm scarred for life, just so you know.
Come on.
No,
Come on.
oh, again.
Okay. So today we're going to be talking about healing, and that's part of healing is laughter, being silly, having fun. That's what we bring to the table for you guys every day. We were trying to get videos and trying to get things done. So again, if we're not able to do every day, we're doing our best. And we were discussing some different ways that we would like to be able to give back. And I know I had said about the turkey hat. I don't think we're going to actually do a free reading for a turkey hat or for a hat. Maybe we will. What do you think, Tink?
I don't know. We'll have to. I don't know. Maybe. I don't see why not. I think we should. Why not?
Well, I want to see what hat you've got. I want to see what silly hat you can come up with that is appropriate.
I think I know which one it is, and I may not have to purchase this one on Amazon, and I feel it is appropriate. Yes, I feel the other one's probably not so much, but this one I think would be good. Yeah, okay. I think good.
All right, and then we were also talking about. So we had done. We do the reading parties and we do different things too, and something came up that I was thinking would be a good topic for us to talk about along the lines of healing. And I've noticed that when I do coaching, when Connie does coaching too, is there are times, and I've done this as well, when we're working through an issue and it's like, are we ever going to get through it? Or somebody says, you know what, you still have healing to do on this topic or this subject. And you get so frustrated, or you're thinking, I've done every amount of healing on this subject or area that I can think of. Why is it still there? And how do I work through it? Or what do I do to get rid of it? Or also sometimes being in denial of wanting to look at it or do any more work on that area. So that's part of what we wanted to talk about today too. And what are the steps for healing? If there is something, and it can be emotional, it could be physical, but if there is something that you're working through, let's just say on the topic of emotional first. With emotional healing, there are layers to it. So it depends what it is. It could be on a relationship. And I know for me personally, with my abuse in my past, with my family history, there are many, many experiences that I had when I was younger that I have had to really work through and process. And even now there are things that will still come up that will trigger me, or I will go back to something and think about it. And I actually just came across an email yesterday, and in the email she said something about in the 80s, there was a famous psychologist who came out and said washing out kids' mouths with soap was a form of punishment, was inappropriate.
I used to get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I did too. And I remember this one time specifically where my dad washed my mouth out with soap. And it triggered me when I read the email, and I thought, oh my gosh, I never made the connection, because in the email, she was talking about, for her, it created a dysfunction with food, actually, because it was a trigger where somebody violated basically her body and her that's kind of how she described it, where it was boundaries, body boundaries, basically, where she felt like that was violated. And so for her, however that manifested, part of it manifested with food and trying to heal that, having control. So it can manifest in different ways in your life based on an experience or based on something that has happened in the past. And me going back and me thinking about that, I just thought it was really interesting. How did that experience affect me? And I remember being so angry in that moment when my dad was washing my mouth out with soap. I had said something or done something at the dinner table. And he, you know, I was so shocked. And I remember feeling so helpless, I guess I would say. In that moment, there was nothing that I could do, and I didn't feel that I deserved what was happening. So for me, anyway, the reason that I'm bringing that up too is because that experience has stayed with me and has affected me going forward. And so sometimes you're not even realizing, or you're not even thinking about an event or a situation, how it can create or manifest an issue in your life, or a problem, I guess I would say. So if, for instance, the lady who was talking about that in the email about how that triggered her eating issues, how do you work through something like that? And there are layers to that. So just acknowledging, first of all, the situation. And every person's healing on your healing journey or emotional healing journey is going to be different. It's not going to be the same for everybody. So for me, with that experience with my dad, I have thought about it before, but I don't think I've fully done the healing work on that specific issue. Other things that I have gone through, other experiences that I've gone through where my dad hurt me physically, pulled me, some of the other abuse, things that he has said, I've taken time to work through those. And my process is thinking about the situation and really looking at, I was a kid and I wasn't responsible for the way that he behaved in that moment, and being able to forgive my dad for his overreaction. That's part of it. And then also looking at how do I change that going forward, and how do I do things different? Connie's over there, she's cracking up. What is your...
Go ahead, I'm sorry. I just thought of something. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What? Now you have to tell us. We can't go forward now.
Because what I did, you're not going to approve of my method of how I got over it.
Yeah, go ahead.
My mom washed my mouth out with soap and I bit her finger off.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Go ahead. Kind of. I'll explain that afterwards. Go ahead.
No, did you really? What did you do? She did something.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, of course. Back in the day, that's what they did. They used to watch, oh gosh, that one, I couldn't even hold it back. The moment I thought about it. Sorry. So, no, one of the things is going back and changing the script. So when you're a kid, so when that happens is, what would you do? Like, what would you tell if you're an adult now looking at your child self, how would you change the script of that? So mine was biting my mom's finger off, like, and making it funny. Like, not that wouldn't be really funny, but it's almost like it changes the energy of it, though. How can you change the energy of it? So anyway, I just started, I don't know, it was just funny at the time, but yeah. So anyway.
I love that. No, and that is one of the processes that you can use 100%. So you know, me in my childlike state, imagining that, you know, I grab my dad and I have superpowers, you know, and I throw him down to the ground, and maybe I make him eat the soap instead. So, right, I love that. How can you change that scenario so that you can take back your control and not feel like I felt like that helpless feeling? So, there have also been other times, though, which is interesting, when you can identify the feeling of what you felt in that moment. How has that replayed in other areas of your life? Really, it comes down to, so for me, the helpless, feeling helpless, that has manifested in other areas throughout my life. And going back to that, you want to go back to that feeling. And that's, like Connie said, taking back your control and taking back your power so that you're not recreating that and having to learn that lesson over again. If you do have a situation where you're like, I have already done all the healing work, I don't want to go back to that situation, I don't want to think about it. That's what we do a lot of times with traumatic situations. We don't want to think about it. It's not about going back to think about it. It's going back to change it. It's going back to heal it so that you don't have to think about it anymore, so that it doesn't still affect you, and so that that energy isn't being brought into your daily life now. If you don't heal it, it will be brought into your daily life. So you can, let's say, you know, I healed that. So now I've wrestled my dad to the ground in my imagination, and I changed that scenario. And let's say in a month from now, something else comes up and I'm triggered, or I have that feeling of feeling helpless. I can go back to that, either that situation, or there may be another situation where I was triggered or where I had an experience. So those will come up in the different situations, or that specific feeling will come up until you heal it. So let's say I do need to go back and I do need to work on healing that. It can be done in that fashion, like Connie, using humor. It can be done by writing out a letter and saying to the person who hurt you, you did X, Y, and Z, and not sending the letter, but just to get it out so that you can process how you're feeling about it. All right, Tinkerbell, go ahead. Did you bite your mom's finger?
No, I didn't actually. But I also, one of the things is, I mean, obviously there's some things I'm not proud of that I would have done differently as an, you know, now looking back.
What do you mean? You mean as a mom? You mean?
Parent. No, I'm sorry. Being a parent. So it's understanding at the time that's what they thought was a good way to rectify behavior. So it wasn't personal. It wasn't necessarily against me. It was more, that was the sign of the times, if you will, or that's what was going on then. So if you can come to a place of understanding, now obviously there are much more harsher behavior and treatment that people receive. So that's not, I'm not downplaying that. But ones like these that maybe was like, okay, I can see, or spankings. Yep, I got a spanking. Okay, so that's that's how they did it back then. People got a lot worse. And so it's more like understanding, but there are so many ways to heal. Everybody has a different way. But for me, let's say, for instance, like, you know, I know we've talked to, this is my main thing, would be with the kids. And how, just last night, I yelled at them again because they were up playing video games late and making a lot of noise, and I'm trying to sleep. I don't like yelling. It bothers me. So the next morning, I always feel guilty about it. So how do I move past that? Or how do I maybe not be okay with it, but heal it? Or there's a reason why. So it can be, for me, understanding that maybe that's, even though I don't like blowing up or getting upset, sometimes an energy shift needs to occur for people to change their behavior too. Or maybe it is part of my life lesson, part of their life lesson, and understanding that and being able to move forward as well. And maybe the lesson is forgiveness. maybe forgiving myself or forgiving whoever it is, whatever it is what somebody did. Reiki for me is another one. I really love Reiki because you don't have to really go anywhere in terms of going back and healing, or going back and reliving. How about that? That's what I mean, like reliving. So the Reiki can energetically help to heal, but it's a consistent thing. It's like you said, it's a process. It's not a one and done thing most of the time. It is really working at it. And when you're feeling that stuff that's coming up, you don't want to suppress and just shove it down and keep going, because that stuff will fester, and then that's what can turn into physical stuff. So it's a matter of feeling it, like you said, getting it out somehow. Maybe you think of the situation and you literally take a baseball bat to a pillow and you just get it all out. You lay it all out there. Make sure you just invoke Saint Germain and the violet flame to transmute any negativity, because once you get it out, you want it transmuted from negative to positive. So that could be a way. I know people who do that or go and just scream, especially people who weren't able to use their voice. Go out in the woods or somewhere where you can't hear. Yeah, she's pointing to herself. Yeah, go out and literally scream at, maybe you're screaming at the person and you're acting as if they're in front of you, and you just scream, and then like or then make it funny afterwards. Maybe, you do a karate move with like a jujitsu or judo move, or you flip them on their back, whatever, just to make it creative to where you're getting the stuff out of your body, because that's what it is. It's really you're holding stuff in. Mm-hmm. And you might do all of them. I also like to replace with affirmations. That's my biggest one, is whatever I'm feeling at the moment, I honor it. And I what am I feeling? I'm feeling guilty. Okay, so why am I feeling guilty? Then I replace it with what I want, and I just envision everyone being happy. And then that's my biggest thing that I do with any situation. I probably do that one the most, is I replace with what I want, not what I'm fearing, not what I'm holding on to, but what I want. And I envision that, and I invoke the angels too. I ask Archangel Raguel for healing relationships, and Camuel, I say Camuel, but it's also Shamuel, for unconditional love and joy, and a lot of the other angels. But those are the two who I work with when it comes time for healing relationships. And Jophiel to beautify the thoughts, to help me think more positive thoughts and not stay stuck. The whole thing is just not staying stuck and getting it stuck in your body. Go ahead, Twink.
That was really good. It was interesting when you were talking, because it made me remember this situation. I don't know if I've shared this before, but when my parents got divorced, I was 10. And I don't remember, this must have been when we were going through the divorce, or they were going through it. And I remember my dad took me to go, we were driving, I think we were going on, back then they didn't really have scheduled visits. It wasn't like we had a scheduled visit. So he used to take us on the weekends, but I think this was when we were going through when they were going through the divorce. And one of the times he took us out, he took us to a place where they were giving away dogs. You know how people will have like free puppies or whatever. Yeah. So he thought it would be a good idea to get me a puppy. My mom hates, okay, sorry. She does not like animals. And he thought it would be a good idea to get a pet and have me bring the pet home to my mom. I know now, looking back, that that was his way of trying to get back at her. I know. So he did it on purpose, but I didn't know that. I mean, I was a kid and I was like 10 years old, and we took it back to the house. And I remember my grandma was there at the time, and I remember she was helping me because the dog had fleas. So we were cleaning the dog. We were pulling up all the fleas out of it. I know, right? I know. It was in the tub. I mean, I was little, so I don't know why my grandma was doing this, but anyway, it was like a lab, I think. And I called him Peanut Butter because he was like that color, peanut butter. So anyways, and I really bonded with this dog. I am not kidding. I know it was like not very long, but anyways, So we're taking care of it, you know, and I think the dog stayed at my dad's, and I ended up going home, and I asked my mom if we could keep the dog, and she said, no, no, we can't keep the dog. Have your dad keep the dog. Well, my dad wouldn't keep the dog, and I'm not kidding. And so,
oh my gosh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I am almost 100. I know this had to have, I think I came home with the dog because to my mom's house. And what happened was she ended up saying, I don't remember all the details, but she ended up saying no, like vehemently no, like there was no option. And my dad said no, he couldn't keep it, but he blamed it on my mom. And so she made me drive, I think it was the next day, because I think I kept the dog overnight that night. She made me go back. She drove me back to the house to drop the dog back off at the house. And I had to leave the dog. It was like, makes me even emotional now. I'm still emotional over it. So anyways, I'm going to have to still, it was when you were talking about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to work through that. And I have before, I've thought about it. So I felt so bad about leaving this dog. And I remember getting so mad at my mom and being like, oh my gosh, thinking in my head, I will never forgive you for this. I remember saying that, I will never forgive you. Like, oh my gosh, I know, right? I'm really surprised. I'm still emotional. Anyway, that right there is showing you how there are things that still need to get healed. That for me, obviously, is still something that I'm holding on to. So, and I have done work on this. I really have, but I remember being so mad that I would never forgive her. And that was the piece. As I got older, I was able to see why she did that. She couldn't take care of a dog. She had just got divorced. She had to work full time.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, as a kid perspective, a 10-year-old, I didn't get it. I didn't understand. And then, you know, you get older and you have kids and you recognize, wow, you know, I think she could have handled it differently. But I understand why now looking back. So I can forgive her for doing that and not holding that resentment against her and holding that anger. But literally that anger that I held towards her was something that I needed to work through to be able to have a relationship with her. It was one of the things that came up for me when I was really working on healing with her. And I remember that specific incident being like where there was a line drawn and things were never the same after that in my mind and energetically. And once I did the work on forgiving her for that, we were then able to go forward and have a relationship. That was part of the healing process with her that shifted things for me and for her, for our relationship. So that's why obviously it came up though. There's still a part that I have to work through and heal on that, but it comes in layers, you know. A certain event can be like that where it can be overwhelming. I know. Oh my God. I know.
I throat.
I know.
Wink, now that you've like seriously, we have to stop recording today. You're not allowed to tell any more stories. They're too sad.
I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, I know, right? This is supposed to be a healing video.
Well, it is. It is. You're right, but it's good to, you know, it's hey, and just because we're teachers and mentors and coaches doesn't mean we still don't have stuff to work on. Holy cow, I still have stuff you know, to work on too, for sure. So it's, but even like I said, mine's more the things that I have is more guilt with myself. Like those are the things that I need to work on. That'll be a whole nother video.
Yes. So maybe we can talk about that next time too. I know one of the other things is, I think you said Archangel Raphael for healing. You can call on Archangel Raphael.
Oh, you know, I'm so sorry, honey, but yeah, I missed him. I was actually thinking of, I don't think I said him. I said Raguel, but Raphael. Yes. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Raphael, Archangel Raphael for healing. And then also something that I used to say, or I came up with this saying for myself that I had to work through being able to help somebody heal was, or help myself heal from a relationship was, I forgive you, I love you, and I set you free. I forgive you, I love you, and I set you free. That was my mantra that I kept replaying over and over when I would think about the person, so that I would be able to move forward and really, really heal and not hold a space for that resentment and the anger, because that was really a hard one to let go of, and it took a lot of time. Yep. So yeah. Anything else, Tink?
No, that reminds me of that whole no, whatever the heck that is. But yeah, that we actually, and I still do that, and that does work. Basically calling your higher self in, and this is to help guilt with you too. I do this with myself. Is the I love you, I forgive you, thank you, and was it forgive? Oh geez, I do this all the time. I can't believe I just forgot. Please forgive me, and I forgive you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love you.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I knew I'm like, oh my gosh, I could do this. I actually do this, but of course now when I'm on the spot, I have done that even with things that I have felt guilty about. And it's interesting how the next day people will react differently towards you, like more nicer and different, because you're doing it on a soul level. You're healing on a soul level. So you don't necessarily have to talk to the person to even this. It's not even just to forgive other people. It's you can use that for yourself. I've done that. Wow. It keeps coming out with my throat. There's still more to say, because there is one incident that I am not proud of, and it was not a good parenting technique, but someone had told me about it, and I thought, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And now I feel horrible for doing it. It was terrible. So I actually do some healing work on that. Yeah.
All right. So we will leave you with that.
That will be another video. Unless you want me to share it now, I can, but we can do it in another
Let's do it in the next one, because we need to record another one, and we'll talk about guilt.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
perfect.
We'll also talk about healthcare workers, right? And how we'll give back.
Yes. Perfect. Yep.
Okay, stay tuned for our next video, and thank you everybody for joining us, because seriously, this is so fun. I was telling Connie that I woke up in the middle of the night the one night just cracking up, and seriously, about her fox, the noise of the fox. Oh my gosh, it's the funniest thing ever.
No, it's not. It's the improvising one was the funniest thing. I woke up, I laughed out loud on that. Seriously, like, how does that happen? When we ask about your boyfriend, like when you're going to get a date, and then the Oracle book says you'll have to improvise in this situation.
Oh, yeah, we're going to cut that out of the video. Okay.
Nope.
That gets edited.
Yep.
There is no improvising.
No way. All right, guys. And be sure if you're liking the videos, make sure on YouTube, if you could go ahead and do a thumbs up or share this if you think it's or another one, if you think that it's beneficial to who you think may help. And in the meantime, have a magical day and night filled with peace, love, and light.